Hello, SYNGAP land. My name is Michael Graglia. This is episode 209 of the Cure SYNGAP1 podcast. Today is it's Thursday, June 11th. We are in week 24 of the year. It's been a minute. It's been like almost 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks actually, since I've done this. And I'm sorry, but the amount of things going on have just been staggering. I said in the last episode that we were getting ready for Night of Impact. That completely took over my life. People flew in. We had people staying in our house right after Night of Impact. I had a birthday right after that. Ashley and I tried to sleep, but things came up. Right after that, I got on a plane and I went to go see Tony because I had to take him to a neurology appointment in Kansas. I wanted to meet the neurologist. And then I went on to Curing the Epilepsies conference, which I'll talk about in another podcast. But I just got back from Curing the Epilepsies. Somehow I am not too jet lagged. And here we go. Night of Impact was 15 days ago. First link in the show notes is a photo reel from the Night of Impact. I want you to go through that and have FOMO, and I want you to book your tickets for next year. As soon as we have a date for next year, we'll let you know. But it was a great event. I'm really happy we did it. I want to do it again. I have resisted doing an event in my own backyard for the first 8 years just because I've been overwhelmed running the organization and taking care of Tony. But this year we said, no, it's time, and we did it. We raised over $800,000. And I want to break that down into three numbers. Going into the night, we raised about $250 just from people and sponsors buying tables and things like that. The night of, we raised another, call it another $250. The numbers are fuzzy. And then Ashley and I matched all of that. So you add those up. Somehow the math comes out to about $800. So I'm so grateful to everyone who donated. There were some industry contributions. There were some family contributions. Catherine got a table. Ed got a table. A number of people sponsored a couple tickets. But really the funding came from us reaching out to the business community here in the Bay Area who we knew and asking them for their support. And they really came out. And we are very grateful for that support. So we're going to do it again next year. We need to keep raising money, guys. This organization is the only organization that is dedicated to SYNGAP1 and fighting for SYNGAP1. And we need, and by we, I mean every single family, every single person who loves a SYNGAPian needs to lend a hand and raise money. And that is certainly what happened on this night. I mentioned Ed and Catherine, Suzanne and Paulina and Justin Rowe and Jessica Bell worked like crazy on this. Many other people as well. Zoe and her friends helped with a number of things. It was just an all hands on deck. And I always get nervous when I start naming names because I'm bound to forget someone. But it was an exceptional evening. Check out those photos. Tim brought his son Nigel, who's a SYNGAPian, and Nigel was sitting there talking to people from Camp 4 and other investors. It was just great. It was just great. Ash opened it up and talked about our experience with Tony. John, my beautiful son, talked about his brother. Dr. Heldy, Catherine, SYNGAP mom, our CSO, introduced Dr. Willsey, who I'll talk about a lot in a minute. And then I brought it home, and then we had somebody do a paddle raise where people just basically raised their paddle and gave us money. It was incredible. We somehow failed to take videos of all those great talks, which was a mistake that we won't make next year. I did get a video of John, fortunately, and I shared that on LinkedIn. Links in the show notes. He's not a great speaker yet. He's seven. I mean, give him a break, but he'll get there. Trust me on this one. And so, I put a speech on LinkedIn, and you can read along and see what he said. The words were great, and they were from him. We talked about it and asked him what he wanted to say, and that's what he came up with. So, cool kid. Check him out. Watch that speech. Thank you to everybody. We're going to do it next year. As soon as we get a date set, it's on like Donkey Kong, people. We also recently put out a press release about a grant we gave to Dr. Willsey, and it is press release number, I don't know, a lot. We do a lot of press releases. But I got to tell you guys, this one's really special, and I just want to take a minute and urge everyone to read it. And if you're a handwritten thank you note person, I'm hoping that by the end of what I'm about to say, you just take a minute and you write Dr. Willsey and her team a note. Just send it to the Willsey Lab at UCSF. We'll get to her. And here's the part of the press release that I'm really proud of. It's a quote by me, actually. We have been giving grants for 8 years. Dr. Willsey sets the bar for collaboration, productivity, brilliance, and actually listening to patient families. She is simply exceptional. The SYNGAP community is very lucky to work with her and those in her lab. there you go. I said it. She is just amazing. And there's a few links in the show notes. There was an article from the Simons Foundation, which is a large, important foundation in autism, talking about how she really broke new ground and looked at frogs. There's an article, and then I cite a few important papers. There's a Willsey paper from 2021 where she did work in frogs, and she showed that frogs that she gave SYNGAP to had a very clear phenotype of like different sized brain. There was a Berkeley paper in 2023. Berkeley was also one of our grantees, by the way, that confirmed that in certain humans. McCluskey, who was in the Willsey lab in 2025, wrote an amazing paper on GI and autism, and there was a lot of focus on SYNGAP there. And then right now in bioRxiv, which is kind of like this purgatory where papers linger until somebody actually publishes them, there's a super important paper about the psyllium and SYNGAP, and that was all from Dr. Willsey's work. And the reason I'm so excited about, well, the GI is obviously a huge issue, and we all need to be managing GI. And if your kid is backed up, get them on Senna, get them on something, but do not let your kid get backed up. It makes seizures and behaviors worse, number one. Number two, the psyllium issue is super interesting because most SYNGAPians go through a phase where they have this terrible, terrible runny nose. And people just like, what's going on with my kid? And you'd throw all kinds of stuff at him. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. Schools are like, kid's sick. You're like, kid's not sick. They've had that runny nose for 3 months. They're doing fine. Why do these kids like this? It's because their psyllium and their upper respiratory tract don't work. They're busted. They're kaput. How do we know this? Because Dr. Willsey has shown it like 5 different ways. This is one paper in 2025. There's another paper coming. It's going to be even better. We're funding all of it. Why does this matter? Well, it matters for 2 reasons. First of all, we know it's a real issue of SYNGAPians now. Before it was parents talking, and sadly, doctors don't listen to parents very often. Truth is now we can say psyllium and SYNGAPians busted. Why is that a big deal? Well, look at all the kids we've lost. We've lost, that I know about, like 5 kids. 3 or 4 of them died of pneumonia, right? So when your kid is struggling with pneumonia, when your kid is having respiratory issues, when your kid has a runny nose, take it seriously. Like, we have to make sure we get in front of this mucus issue. Spoiler alert, and I say this to people all the time, serapeptase helps, clears it out. Our kids need help clearing mucus. Serapeptase clears mucus. Use serapeptase. Anyway, back to Dr. Willsey. This is not a respiratory tech. This is a Willsey chat. I just want you guys to know she's amazing. And I was going back through my notes. Dr. Willsey started working on SYNGAP and other genes in 2016. We hadn't met her yet. She published a cool paper about the frog brain in 2021. In 2023, February 2023, over 3 years ago, she put in a data request at Citizen, and she wanted some information about SYNGAP. When that happens, I get an email from Citizen, and they're like, hey, this person wants data. Are you okay with us giving it to them? And that was flagged to me, and I picked up the phone, and I was like, who are you, and why do you want SYNGAP data? Because, I'm charming that way. And she said, oh, come and talk to us. Let's hang out. So she put in that request February 23. I was sitting in that lab March 7th, 2023. And it was just amazing. Like, she was getting stuff, and we were talking about things, and the lab was full of cool young people. We followed up with a call with Catherine Heldy, our CSO, and that was just like, I was useful for the first 5 minutes. And then Catherine and Helen started speaking science to each other, and I just smiled. And Catherine and Helen just talked about so many different things, and I talked about serapeptase, and I brought up the mucus issue, and she's like, that's interesting. Maybe there's a cilia issue. So in May, so she asked for the date in February. I went and met them in March. In May, they requested iPSCs, which are induced pluripotent stem cell lines based on patients that we had cultivated and put in a lab. We got those iPSCs shipped over them, and they started working on them, right? She got them in May. Normally, if she had just started pulling blood, it would have been 6 months from there, right? We had an incredible meeting in June where she showed us early data, and Catherine was like so excited. It was crazy. And then things just kept going. But this level of iteration, this level of transparency, this level of listening, this level of what Dr. Willsey does so well really helped us get to where we are. And I'm telling you, she is one of the best researchers I have ever had the privilege of working with, and I am so grateful. I got 30 seconds left. Scramble for SYNGAP, 114 days. Cure SYNGAP1 Conference, 175 days. Do not miss it. Guys, this is going to be a big conference. Sign up now. F78.A1, make sure you're using it. F78.A1, email your doctors on my chart right now. Get that in there. PubMed's at 35. That's plus 11 versus the week. That means we're still on track to win. 5,045 followers on LinkedIn and other places. Camp 4 close at 4:34. Thanks for listening. I'm back. A lot of good stuff happening. Be hopeful. Stay tuned.